I got to tell you, Ernie, I have been a fan ever since one of my coworkers told me about it. And I'm like, what? No, I haven't heard of Homebot. And once you see Homebot and you get this introduction to Homebot, you're like, I've got to have it. So I got to know. Let's start from the very beginning. Like, I have got to know how you thought of this idea, like how you came about that, and a little bit about your past of leading up to this awesome company called Homebot.
Cool. Well, Chris, thanks so much for having me today. I really appreciate it. It's funny. We do all these Zooms all the time now. You start to get burned out on it. And then you get a Facebook Live and it's like all of a sudden my energy goes, woohoo, let's do this now. So, here's how it started, really. I was always been a tech guy, and I took a year off from tech, and it turned into like a 10-year real estate career. I actually got into real estate. And after I was in real estate, I was a brokerage and an MLS or a managing broker, and I owned a brokerage, and I did all that. And I got a lot of dirt under my fingernails, selling hundreds of millions of dollars of real estate. And after that, I ended up starting a company that was acquired by Realtor.com. And so that first in and of itself is sort of the whiplash of being, out in the field doing open houses, closing deals, all the way to the other end of the spectrum of, being one of the biggest real estate portals on earth. That was really incredible. And it gave me a lot of visibility on how this whole industry works. Right. And so the net of it was this. After a few years at working at Realtor.com and becoming sort of versed in the dark art of lead gen, there was something that really struck me and my business partner, Ira. And that was, for all of the money and all of the data and all of the smart people that were creating user experiences, the highest and best use of these experiences was to get a click, was to cause some dopamine to go off in the brain. Was leads, just about leads. That was the best that they could do, was to create leads. And the reason it struck us as odd is because Ira and I started to see statistics and really intriguing stuff around how the home is the largest asset that most people ever own. It represents over 80% of retirement wealth. People aren't retiring on 401ks and IRAs and savings. They're retiring on home equity. And that was just kind of like, whoa, well, homeowners don't even think of it. They don't have the tools to buy smarter, sell smarter, refi, manage. They don't even think of it that way. So that was the impetus for us at Realtor.com. We're like, well, let's go start a company where we try to help the little guy. We empower the consumer to understand their home as an asset. But then also stage 2 of that is, what are you going to do about it? So anyway, that was really the origin story for us. And I'll be honest with you too. We spent about a year just sort of testing with consumers around this idea, because and it's funny because we always said, well, Zillow always makes you feel rich. Would the consumer actually want to be rich? So, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing to, do your jazz hands and say, oh, we're going to do all this great stuff. But at the end of the day, does the consumer really care? And this was the magic that we discovered. And I would say for our entire audience today, what we learned 5 years ago, and we continue to learn every single day, consumer wants to be empowered with their home asset. And if you're not empowering them, somebody else is. And I always sort of give credit to the great, and actually, I think this is really kind of appropriate for the time, 2008, financial crisis, housing crisis. What came out of that was a new attitude. You had really 2 groups of people. You had first group of people around my age and older that were like, man, that hurt. I lost a lot of, I lost my wealth, or I lost my home, or that was really destructive to mine and my family's life. I don't want to ever have that happen to me again. And so that's something that was like causing people to go, I want to be empowered. But then you had all the children, which we'll just call the millennial generation or whatever generation, but all the children of those people that were deep in those families that were really hurt by the financial crisis. And you know what? And they just happen to be a lot of the millennials and the home buyers today. You know what they're thinking? I don't want to get hurt the way my parents got hurt. I don't want to have the wool pulled over my eyes the way previous generation. And by the way, they thought that way anyway. But my point is, and I'll stop here, is that, you know, I'd rather be lucky than good. And we kind of got lucky in 2015 that we discovered, oh my gosh, the consumer wants to be empowered.
Yeah, I think Homebot, you know, for those listening, Homebot does a really good job of empowering your consumer. So whether you're a lender or you're a realtor, I know as a lender, Homebot has, well, it gives us several leads, but it's like a give back to our database that in one very simple look, they can overview, look at the property, look at the analyzations of, you know, how much equity they have, or if they want to look at another area, or even finance options for the future, because you do a really good job of empowering them. And they look and then they immediately send an email that says, hey, I'm interested in this, or what would this look like? You know, how did you go through the lender side of things and then you looked at it as a real estate side? You know, I just recently bought a second home, or in the process of it, and immediately just went and looked and started with Homebot. And I love that and how that does for our consumers. So first question is lender, sellability, and access to our database, because I think Homebot possibly could be the cheapest way to stay connected to your database.
Yeah, so that's so that was a really interesting process for us. Remember, I was a real estate guy. I was a real estate agent and a broker. So I had bias towards real estate agents going into this. I also had bias towards, you know, direct to consumer, just give it directly to the consumer. But what we learned when we did pilots, all different types of pilots, what we learned and we continue to learn is that lenders have a penny under their shoe. Now they have gold in their database. And the truth is that the technology is just now sort of catching up to help the lending industry. The truth is that it was good enough in the industry to just fill your funnel and forget about nurture, because the margins were good enough, the leads were cheap enough, but then that's changing now. So what we discovered was that with lenders, that our product, which we like to describe as like it's a financial dashboard for the home, and you just give it away like candy to all your clients, to all your prospects, and magically they call you and they engage with you. So what we learned was that by making our dashboard for the home available for lenders to give to all their clients and prospects, that it was a cash printing machine. I mean, it's still a machine because of, and don't be offended when I say this, of the neglect that has been in place for years and years and years and years and years, forever, to nurturing your past database. And you know, I even go to talk producers now and I say, hey, look, you've crushed it with nurturing your database with sort of your brand. That's not good enough anymore.
Right.
If you really want to nurture, you've got to be truly benevolent. You have got to give a thing of value every day, every week, every month, every year across what is it, like 10 or 12 years now between purchases. And so the lender just so happens is so perfectly positioned to do that, because it's not just about the purchase, it's also about the refi. Heck, a lender could have 2 or 3 different transactions or 4 or 5 different transactions with one client now in the database. And the other part of this, as it relates to real estate agents, it just so happens that we built the product so that lenders can also work with the real estate agent to help the real estate agent nurture their database, but also to expand that lender's sphere for more purchase and more refi business.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. Realtors and lenders, like if they're guilty of one thing, it is taking care of their database. And they love to give trinkets, right? And they're usually branded trinkets. But to actually give true value in a sense of you get a Homebot presentation in their email. And when they don't get it, if something happened, I've had a call one time where we had promised that they're going to get this. And on our end, it was our mistake. We had a little glitch in their email and we fixed it, but they actually were waiting for it. And then they get it, and it's like their own. If they're going to shop with you, you might as well give them the tools to shop. And that's what I love about Homebot. Whether it's real estate or lending, you're giving them this one-stop shop to do it, and it's not salesy. It's true, real information giving to them, and then they simply can call or ask questions or get more info. But walk through how Homebot really looks at and looking at home value, because I'm in South Dakota. Right. And I'm not in this great city, big, huge area where there's tons and tons of data. But even in our area, Homebot does a really good job. So how did you come about to get to that number where you're estimating the value of their home?
Right. So I'm going to sort of split this into two pieces and really focus in on the home value piece of this. So for us, and I call it the tracking aspect of Homebot, tracking. So it tracks, and for those on the, watching the stream, I'll just kind of explain it this way. It tracks your client's home value. It tracks their loans so that they can track their equity. We really want to help the consumer connect with their equity, because remember, that's what they're retiring on one day. Mm-hmm. Now, Chris, you're going to the top of that equation saying, well, if you get the home value wrong, the equity is going to be wrong. So how do we think about home value? Well, the first thing is that we already know that Zillow has created groundswell around the vanity fascination around home value, right? But we don't want it to, this is not about like teasing the eyeball or, gaming people. This is about fidelity and accuracy. So the first thing I will share with you is that we use home values from a company called Black Knight Financial Services. There's two biggies out there, Black Knight and CoreLogic, that use a lot of data science, and they acquire data from loan servicing, MLSs, a lot of different places to create a very high value, what's known as a AVM, automated valuation model. But here's the problem. For all of that data science and all that data, it's still just an estimate.
Right.
Zillow, no matter how good they get, it's still just an estimate. There is not a replacement for the local knowledge to really zone in to understand what is the current supply and demand and how does that manifest into a more accurate value. So what we do very simply is that we start with a high fidelity, high accuracy AVM. So it's looking at all the transactions in the area and trying to figure things out. But then on top of that, we let the real estate agent handicap that, adjust that based on their local knowledge. And so the combination of computer plus human makes it really an unbeatable combination for creating incredible high accuracy. So, and as an example, if Homebot had a value for your home that said your home was worth $500,000, and then a real estate agent goes, Chris, we think it's worth $515,000, and they adjusted it today. The cool thing about it is that the underlying computer algorithm would then work with that handicap, with that adjustment over time. So it wasn't just a one-trick pony. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. I actually did that on my personal house where I asked for an updated value. I got it from a realtor. I put it in, and it totally ran it through the whole piece. It wasn't a one-time change thing.
You know what I'll say to you too, which I think is really powerful, is that consumers are coming from this world of vanity where they just want the value to be higher, 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 higher. But as professionals, we're professional, whether we're real estate agents or lenders or appraisers, we don't get paid for vanity. We don't get paid for making people feel good. We get paid for accuracy. Right. And so the catch here is like, how can you get the consumer to care about accuracy? And if there's one thing that I will share with you that Homebot has done with our home values, is it's gotten the consumer to care about accuracy. Why? Because they want that equity number to be right. They don't want to goop themselves into thinking that they had, it'd be almost like spinning a roulette wheel to figure out, every month on what your bank balance is. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I actually want to know to the penny what my bank balance is.
Yeah.
I don't want, a lot of guessing and witchcraft. I actually really want to know. So the combination of computer plus human happens to really give a high quality answer to that.
In the industry right now, we're calling it Disneyland. Tons of customers are refinancing, tons of customers are purchasing, but it's really easy to kind of be in the now or the rear view mirror. But we need to start concentrating on the windshield. We need to be looking forward. We need to be concentrating on our future, because it's not always going to be Disneyland. And how can Homebot help me as a realtor or a lender if I'm not currently using Homebot? How can Homebot help me with that?
Well, the first thing I'd say is the first question that I would ask of either a realtor or a lender is like, do you want a record year or do you want a record career? Because because most are going to get a record year, whether they like it or not, right?
Right. I got to write that down. A record year or a record career.
Right. So everybody gets to hold up the trophy, which says record year. Everybody's going to have a record year. You got to get over that part. I know we all have to make hay while the sun shines, but everybody's going to have a record year. Okay. So if everybody's got a record year, what's the separation? What's the next step of that? And that's why I say record career. And here's what's so cool about what's happening right now is the massive volume and velocity of that volume. The amount of transactions that are happening right now allow the lender to get a foothold in a huge database. You are creating a huge database right now.
For sure.
And every person in that database, you should be giving Homebot away like candy to every single one of them, because that's going to lock them in for two reasons. They're going to repeat business with you. And we all know how this game plays out. They do the low refi, their home value goes up, and then lo and behold, they end up getting a home equity line of credit and they need to refi again at some point. So you want that repeat business. Mm-hmm. Number two, and this is something a lot of you don't talk about, is you need every single customer to stay lit up as a referral source. How do you keep people lit up? And there's an interesting stat. 70% of your clients, 13 months after the close, can't even remember your name. So
I've always said that. Homebot is an excellent way to brand you.
And so I'm going to take it just one step further beyond that. Remember I was talking about top producers who have always done a great job of brand. Mm-hmm. I'm going to add a piece to this solution now. Your brand isn't good enough anymore unless it has value attached with it. So how are you consistently creating new value 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 years after the transaction? How do you do that?
Right.
And that's where Homebot really comes in to keep your entire database activated as a referral source, to keep the honeymoon going forever. And I'll tell you, for those lenders and real estate agents that understand right now, it's not just about the record year and doing the transactions. It's like, oh my gosh, if I properly capture and nurture just these transactions from this point forward, my family is set.
For sure. For sure. So Homebot's doing amazing. How many customers do you guys have? How many mortgage companies, real estate? Like, how big is this company already?
Well, so we started to sell Homebot, I think about a little over 3 years ago.
Okay.
So we built it for like a year and a half before it actually even got out there in space. And now we've got about half of the top 50 lenders in the US using it. It's a big top producer thing. We're really proud of that because we love top producers, listening to the top producer, love listening to all of our customers. we're not that smart, Chris, but we are.
Me neither.
But we are power listeners. We are very dangerous listeners. We listen to our customers, and we've got tens of thousands of customers now. And we try to listen to as many of them every single day about that next thing that we're going to do with the product. Here's the funny thing, Chris. So many lenders, LOs that have been in the business for a while are victims of their own success. When you only have 50 past clients, hey, it's okay. It's pretty reasonable to call them and to stay connected with them. When you have 500 people and they're all doing this all day long, or soccer practice, or just living their life, whatever, it's really hard to connect with them. So as someone who's been in the business for a while, you have a real struggle in understanding who in your database can make a human connection today. That's a hard problem to solve. Now we got TikTok, I'm saying? There's a million reasons to distract.
Are you on TikTok?
I used to be, and then I was like, I think I looked at that thing like a half an hour today, so I deleted it off my phone.
Okay.
But here's the thing with Homebot, that when you are engaging all of your clients, and I'll give you a stat, we consistently engage half your database every single month. So if you've got 1,000 past clients, it's like a big red easy button. Homebot will engage them with your brand with content that has intrinsic value that keeps them lit up every single month after month to 50% monthly engagement. It's an incredible number. And that's just, and all I would say is if you're using Homebot, you better get good at answering your phone.
Yeah.
Because there's two unforgivable sins in our business. One, you do something that's not trustworthy, and there's no coming back from that.
No.
Number two, responsiveness. If you don't answer your phone, your clients are always one click away from the competition. One click. So you have to engage them every month, and by gosh, when they call, you better answer the phone.
One thing that I just thought of, Homebot's been amazing for our loan officers and for our company. I mean, amazing. But also what's really good is that Homebot does a great job of asking for the referral itself and being able to share with a friend. And I think that's a powerful little subtle piece at the very end. How did you think of that idea and to add that in? Was it a member giving you that idea, or did you think of it yourself?
It was really a function of about 5, 6, 7 years ago. I started to realize that technology now is our culture. Like Eagle Scouts have a little technology badge. You know what I'm saying? It's like technology is so embossed in us as a culture. We relate to each other through technology. And that is something that's so cool because, Chris, if I had never met you before and you walked in my office and I saw you get out of a taxi out front and I just never met you before, I say, hey, man, there's this app called Uber, and you don't have to ride in a stinky taxi, and it probably costs you less and it'd be a lot more convenient. The point is that I get to relate to you as a human, and by the way, we humans happen to be benevolent. We care about each other. We like to share. It actually makes us feel good to share something of value, and that has caused great applications to flourish, and it can cause crappy applications to die. Right? So if you build something great and your customers love it, then give them a way to share it because it actually makes them feel good. And it's actually good it happens to be good for business. But the core issue there is that the consumer, when you get them engaging at 50% a month, there is no mistaking. They love their Homebot. I love walking through the airport with my Homebot hat in Denver.
Nice.
Because 4 out of 10 homeowners in the Denver area have Homebot.
Yeah.
And
really,
this is where we're based, right?
Yeah.
I will walk through the airport and it'll be like Homebot. It's because the consumer loves this thing. And if they love it, then do them a favor and let them share it with their friends and family. And like I said, the byproduct is just so happens that it's good for us or good for our customers. But the core is let that consumer feel good by sharing something that's really positive and has value.
Love it. I have two questions. Number one, if I'm a realtor or a lender, what are two main reasons why I need Homebot if I don't currently have it today?
If you're a realtor or a lender, why do you have to have? Because it's all about retention, Chris. Anybody can buy leads and do deals. Few can retain, and to retain your business means you have a lower cost of acquisition for your customers, and it's a more profitable business, a more sustainable business. You have to have a retention program, full stop. And by the way, lenders are just now learning about it. The real estate agents, curiously enough, have always been very poor at retention. And they've gotten away with it because it's like, hey, look, I'm not going to do another deal. It's not like I could do a refi. I won't see somebody for 10 years. That's okay. I'll refill my funnel. Guess what's happening, Chris? There's a massive supply shortage of real estate in America.
Right.
And it's not going away anytime soon.
Oh.
Guess who owns that supply? Your past clients. Realtors are now starting to figure it out. You have to stay and you have to nurture your past clients, because without it listing inventory, you're out of business. It used to be a luxury to be listing properties. Now you have to have listings.
You do. I love that. My dad always told me, he says, Chris, why would you spend all your effort to continue to go get new business when you don't take care of the ones that you got? And it just always, anytime I feel like I'm slipping from that, I think about my dad telling me that statement. This Homebot definitely does this. So my last question to you is what's next for Homebot? Like, what's on the next radar? Give us a sneak peek of what are you thinking in your mind of that you're adding next?
All right. I probably shouldn't say this, but I will tell you what we are taking a close look at that we think is a very interesting space: insurance agents. We think that lenders should more aggressively partner with insurance agents. Now, we've seen some people in the industry do that. I'm talking about property and casualty home insurance.
Right.
And when you look at the insurance agent, very similar to the real estate agent. Whereas the real estate agent is coming under fire from Zillow, right? If you're not a premier agent, you're kind of out of luck. The insurance industry is increasingly coming under fire from new companies like Lemonade. So the traditional real estate agent, needs to do a better job of staying engaged with their clients. And at the same time, it represents a tremendous opportunity for the lender to partner with that insurance agent to get exposure to their database. So I actually think this is a really big opportunity to basically help more people at the individual homeowner level, and also support ecosystems of people that already exist. But, what I'm saying? Lenders and insurance agents already know each other. And, together we stand, divided we fall. But the truth is that the consumer wants us to be working together. There's more value when you have a team of people working for your benefit. They want their real estate agent and their lender and their insurance agent knowing them personally to help them through this whole life cycle. So I'm not just saying, insurance is a big industry. I'm saying it just so happens that's an ecosystem of real relationships that already exists. And there's so much value to be unlocked for the benefit of the customer.
I love it. Ernie, I love your passion, your drive, your smile. I got to tell you, I'm not very smart, but I got a lot of smart friends just like you, Ernie. And thank you for being my very first Facebook Live through the Elite Experience. I truly appreciate you. I appreciate your company. You guys go check out Homebot. If you're not using it currently today, whether you're a lender or a realtor, I'm telling you, it can change your life. And all I can think about is I have a really good friend. He's top 5 in this major insurance company right now. He interacts with his customer just like we do. And I know he would love to be your first customer. So Ernie, thank you. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Have a good one.
Yep. Bye-bye.